5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Please do not change channel.
From Krypton Radio, brought to you by Famous Faces and Funnies and Off the Chain with Yvonne Mason, it's the Hanging with Web Show Radio Hour, the Internet's premier pop culture talk radio show. You're tuned in, you're logged on, and now your hosts, G.W. Pomichter and Christian Basil. Who you hanging with?
Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome to the Hangin' with Web shows. This is our radio hour.
Yes,
That's
it
what
is our
this
radio hour.
It's our radio hour.
See
I'm
what
so
happens
used to
when you
doing
take the holiday break.
I know. We take the holiday break, and I come back, and I don't even know what show I'm on. What show is this?
This is the Hangin' with Web show radio hour.
It is.
It is.
It is, and we are here. Christian Basil's not with us tonight, but we are joined in the studio with Sajia.
Hello, hello.
And we are joined on the line with our good friend Robert Lupo, who has... Robert, tell him a little bit about yourself, man.
Well, I have two YouTube channels, actually. I have one which is for movie reviews that you guys work with, which is the Lupo and Lee Reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have my big channel, which is The Orlando Wizard.
The Orlando Wizard.
The Orlando Wizard. And I basically talk about everything you need to do, tips and tricks to make your stay better when you're in Orlando. But I find that a lot of my conversations and a lot of my videos aren't just for tourists, but they're also for locals, because I know things that even cast members and team members seem not to know, and it's all about helping people and making sure that you make the best of your day. I do food reviews, ride reviews, and then just a quick thing that I do that most others don't is I have a section on people who have sensitivity issues like claustrophobia, motion sensitive. So I actually review all the rides, and we talk about whether or not you can ride that, and it's in my Can You Ride That section.
Oh, wow. That is really cool.
Yeah, and then upcoming is we're doing episodes for every single park on people who have celiac disease, and we're doing it at every single park for people who are diabetic. How do you eat at the parks reasonably and still maintain your health diet?
Oh, that is really, really cool.
That is
And again,
very
it's not
cool.
just for tourists or people traveling to
That's
the Orlando
for
area.
anybody coming into Orlando.
That's right. There are so
Yeah.
many things to do in this area that, you know, as you live here, you sort of don't get to know about. I mean, you just sort of, it blends into the background. I know people who are native Floridians that have never been to Disney.
Yeah. I have people who've lived here, and then I say, hey, did you know you can do X, Y, Z? And they're like, I've been here my whole life. I've been going my whole life. I had no idea that was there.
Wow.
I'm like, that's why I have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, no, that is amazing. That is really, really good. Well, this is the first show, everybody, of 2019. So Happy New Year to everybody. And tonight we decided we're just going to dive into things we're looking forward to this year. We finished off the year with kind of a top 10 of things that happened in 2018. But 2019 is set in pop culture and sci-fi fantasy to be just an epic overload of content for us. And so we're going to dive into, we're going to go around the room and see what everybody on the panel here is looking forward to the most. And then we'll dive into some of the things that the internet has to say and some of the things that are coming down the pike. So tell you what, let's start with movies. Because Lupo does the movie reviews.
Oh, yes.
What is on your 2019 must go to for reviews this year, Rob?
Oh, my God. Let me think about that. Come back.
Oh, we'll come back. Okay. Sage, how about you? What are you looking forward to? What is your number one? Number one and number two, gotta see it this year.
Okay, number one and number two, gotta see this year.
Okay.
Obviously, Avengers Endgame.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a given. And you would think my other one is Captain Marvel, which I also want to see. However, Wonder Woman 1984 is due out in the theaters this year, and I want to see that.
You just want to see 1984 reenacted on screen.
We have the best soundtrack
We do.
ever.
It should be an epic soundtrack because, this generation that grew up in the 80s has the ultimate soundtrack. We were kids in the 70s, so we got disco and that soundtrack. And then in the 80s, we got the best movie soundtracks and the best, background music ever.
Of course we did.
Yes. So I'm looking forward to that, too. I think I'm looking for. What am I looking? Gee,
movies. You have to do movies.
I have to do movies
because
first.
I have a separate list for TV shows.
Okay. So movies first. I can honestly say I am looking forward to Avengers Endgame.
Yes.
Because it's the other half of a movie.
Yes,
I mean,
have some.
It's really literally they threw me out of the theater with half a movie.
Yes, I have some fun notes about that when we come to talk about it.
And I really am looking forward to Captain Marvel. Although Wonder Woman 1984 it sounds really cool, but I am looking forward to Captain Marvel. I always love the movies, the first runs of a movie that it adds to the franchise. So they're adding a new character. I love the fact that the tie-in this time isn't in just a post-credit scene, but it literally, from all the descriptions, is kind of a buddy cop movie. So we're actually going to watch Nick Fury's journey while we're introduced to Carol Danvers, which will be really kind of cool for me. So I'm looking forward to that.
There's going to be some backstory for Nick Fury, too.
Yeah, which is really cool. And Nick Fury with two eyes, which is, antithetical, but it'll work.
Well, Samuel Jackson actually just did an interview recently for E.T., and he said that Captain Marvel can time travel. He confirmed that.
That's an interesting skill set, especially in light of the Marvel Cinematic Universe's current location.
The other fun hint that he dropped is that he hinted, it didn't say specifically, but he hinted that the Tesseract could possibly make an appearance in Captain Marvel.
No, because it takes place in the past, so it takes place, I guess it could, I was going to say, because technically, no, because it's on the glove, but no, it could, because it just takes place. It's weird when they jump around timelines. I don't know what to do usually. Lupa, how about you, man? What's on your list this year? Oh, we lost your audio. Okay, hold on. Dina, can you? Oh.
There we are.
There we go. He's back.
Yes.
Sorry, I
all
had
right.
a cold, so I was coughing, and I put me on mute, and like I do in all meetings, I forget to take myself off mute. I had to write some notes down because it kind of caught me off guard. So with my movie reviews, there's with my partner and I, there's a lot of different movies that we know that we're going to go and review, and then there's a lot of movies that we're not going to bother with because I don't feel they're going to do all that great. So of course, Avengers Endgame is going to be the big one that everyone's waiting for. Matter of fact, I just watched, the Avengers movie, the last one, just today, just to kind of refresh my brain and get ready for this. That's going to be massive this year. I think that's actually, of all the movies coming out, that's one of the really, really big ones that's going to hit. But Captain Marvel, I think it's going to do well. I think it's going to get overshadowed. But we have Disney. We have Toy Story 4, Dumbo, Lion King, Aladdin. And, Dumbo, Lion King, and Aladdin are all live action.
Yeah, that is going to be epic.
Not only are they bringing out one, they're bringing out three. So this is going to be really good. Out of the three live action, I think personally Dumbo is the one that's going to break everyone's heart.
Yes.
And that one's going to make it, that's going to be the big one. I'm not sure Toy Story 4 is going to live up. We've seen 3.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge Toy Story fan. I don't think Toy Story 4 is going. I think people are like, okay, we've seen it all, and now do they open up a burger joint? What do we do now? I think. Well,
we'd have to be on what we're on it would be the third generation gets those same toys, and after a while, you got to figure. I know my kids, the hand-me-down 1, hand-me-down 2. By the time it gets to the third one, they're like, Dad, really?
It's all sun bleached, right? And holes. I think one of the movies that's coming out that I'm going to be the most excited about is actually Glass.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That one, because I saw Unbreakable, which amazing film. If you've never seen Unbreakable, if you're listening to this right now, go rent it, go watch it on Netflix, someplace. It is fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's really, really well. Samuel L. Jackson, who's just spectacular in himself, stars in that one and makes an appearance back here with Bruce Willis. I think that's going to be spectacular.
Yeah, well, and Unbreakable was an amazing film. And when you went into it, now I went into Unbreakable watching it. I had no idea that there was a depth of source material. I just went in. It was a Bruce Willis movie. It had Samuel Jackson in it. I'm like, yeah, this could be great. And then as the story unfolded, I was just like, wow, this is so really cool. And it's relevant, especially as comic culture and pop culture becomes so much more. It was subculture when we were young. Now it's popular culture, and so the story was made even more relevant by that fact. And then I walked out of there and found out, oh, there's more. There's much more. And then they did Identity. What was it?
After Unbreakable.
That was the second movie.
Yes. Oh my gosh,
Split.
that was so cool. Split. I was going to say all the personalities. Wow.
And that was really wicked cool. And when I went into that one again, I went in not realizing that this was a follow up.
The same universe.
Yeah. And then when they kind of hit you with that, I was like, oh wow. Oh, I wonder if they're going to do more. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm really looking forward to Glass. Because those three characters that were so great on screen are now on screen together, and that'll be really, really cool to see. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Glass myself. So yeah.
Some of the other films that are coming out, we have How to Train Your Dragon, and so if it wasn't that the trailers look so freaking cute, I don't think a lot of people would go to see it, but they really pulled out every bloody cute scene they could possibly do. Kind of make you go, now I got to go see it because who doesn't want to have a girlfriend?
Good point.
Godzilla coming out, Artemis Fowl, Pokemon Detective. That looks interesting to me, and I'm a Pokemon fanatic, so I'm looking forward to that. We got Joker, Men in Black International.
We have Shazam.
Shazam. So I'm not sure Shazam's going to. I think it's going to get overshadowed. I want to see it, but I think there's so many good things coming out, and these are all going to be potentially great. I mean, you got the Secret Life of Pets 2, Zombieland 2.
Now, Shazam. The problem that I see with Shazam is that it is clearly, and openly states it is clearly a superhero comedy, which is great. I personally think that is awesome. Traveling around this last couple of years with the show and meeting, all the comic book folks and all the people who are into the superhero universes, I'm wondering if we can put our just plain folk hats on and go into this movie and give it a chance to make us laugh, or if we're going to go in looking for more superpowers and less laughter and come out disappointed, because it's going to be a very tongue-in-cheek, very ridiculous.
That's true, but it's one of the reasons that we like the Guardians, because they're so goofy.
Yeah, but the Guardians are delivering to us comedy inside an action adventure.
Well, that's true.
And I think that Shazam is designed to deliver us action adventure inside a comedy.
Oh, that's a good point.
And I'm wondering if the superhero audiences are going to turn out for that. I mean, right down to the Shazam costume. There's no update to that costume. It's
true.
It's very corny tights.
It's
great.
so much
fun.
fun.
I think it's going to be great. And of course,
I just like to say Shazam.
And Zach Levi makes me laugh no matter what he does.
And he looks good in the suit.
That's true. It's true. I'm a guy. I'll be the first to admit it. He bulked up. My God, I would love to do that. So we have to get ready for a commercial break. When we come back, we'll take a look at television, and we'll see what the top television things we're looking forward to in 2019. And then we'll dive into some comics, and we'll do some other things later on in the hour. But until then, stay tuned in and stay logged on, because we're hanging right here, right after these messages.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
Hi, I'm Cosplay Michael with the Hangin with Web Show, and you're listening to Krypton Radio. And remember, cosplay's for everyone.
Joanne Fisher's The Spanish Doll. Secrets in Italy? Oh yes. Her beauty strikes him like a thunderbolt sent by the goddess Venus. When Fiore is given a peculiar gift, a Spanish doll, she is thrown into a whirlwind of entangled passion, money, secrets, and love. Get swept away today by Hangin' with Web Show featured author Joanne Fisher's The Spanish Doll. Available now on Amazon.com.
Channeling the Mothership is an exciting journey into the higher mysteries. Certified psychic medium and clairvoyant Jerry McDaniel's readings, writings, and messages have been received by thousands of people in more than 45 countries. These messages have been obtained by channeling his higher self. How does he do it? Is it a blessing or a curse? And what lay beyond the reach of your five senses? Channeling the Mothership. Explore the mysteries of the spiritual and the metaphysical. Channeling the Mothership by author Jerry McDaniel. Available on Amazon.com today.
Welcome back, World Wide Web. This is the Hangin' with Web Show's radio hour.
Inaugural 2019.
Inaugural 2019 radio hour. Welcome to the show, everybody. The last segment we spent talking about the movies we were looking forward to the most. There are so many big, huge movies coming up. We have Captain Marvel. We have Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man Homecoming. We have Wonder Woman 1984. We have Godzilla versus Godzilla, the King of the Monsters. I just saw one on a list here, guys. Apparently, in December 2019, there will be an animated. Well, we don't know if it's animated, if it's real. We don't have any idea. It is Masters of the Universe. There's a He-Man movie coming in 2019.
I have the power.
Does anybody remember the live action movie of He-Man back in the was it 80s?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
80s.
Yeah. Wow. They're doing it again. Think about that.
That was so successful before.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see that translating. That was truly a superhero fantasy for children. Truly for children.
Mm-hmm.
Because the storylines you couldn't follow past the age of 14. Although the character is beloved, I know it really is a beloved character, but the stories were just, once you hit like 12, you were like, okay, that's enough. I'm done. It's like it would have been like creating a Stretch Armstrong cartoon. After a while, you're just like, okay, I've done it all. I've already tied it in a knot twice, and I've already put all the little blue goos inside all over my sister. Because just saying.
Wow.
Once you've done that, you're done. But yeah, they're going to do it again. So we have that to look forward to. But we also have some epic television in 2019 coming out in popular culture. Sci-fi fantasy television is coming. And they're coming hard, and they're bringing back, first of all, number one, I'm going to start here. My number one on my list.
Don't steal mine.
I can't help it. I'm going to say, I don't know what to say. Number one on my list, Game of Thrones. Final season. That is number one on my television list for 2019. Probably because they made us wait an extra year.
Could be.
So it wasn't like season to season.
Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah,
dun.
and partly because it is the final.
Peter Dick.
I haven't heard that. That's awesome. That is great. Yeah. So that's my number one, and number two to that for me is going to be Stranger Things.
Aha! I have a different number two.
Oh, okay.
Expanse.
Oh, are they coming 2019?
They're supposed to be
I did not see that one on
2019.
the
They
list.
don't have an official date, but it's on everybody's 2019 list.
Okay.
Because Kaz Anvar at San Diego Comic-Con said shooting began in September. So there's really no reason why we shouldn't have it. So it should be mid-2019.
And that'll be streaming on Amazon, right?
Yes.
This year, no Sci-Fi channel. It'll be straight to Amazon.
Yes.
So I wonder if they're going to make us do a week-to-week thing on Amazon, because they do that sometimes. Or if they're just going to drop it and let us binge.
I hope so.
Me too.
I'm all for binging, personally. I hate waiting each week to watch a show. I just wait until it's bingeable, and then I just sit down.
I know, that's like 140 hours of waiting. That's crazy.
Well, Amazon let us do that with Ms. Maisel.
Yeah.
They dropped the whole season.
That's a great show.
That is an amazing show.
I found that by accident and started watching it, and I've been watched both season nonstop.
Yeah, it is an amazing show.
Wow.
And Zach showed up in season 2. That was fun.
Yeah. Well, and again, and looking good.
That's right.
That's a damn fine looking man.
Shazam.
Just saying. Shazam. Nice. She's
I
stuck.
can't hear this, but I'm rolling my eyes.
Oh my Lord! Yeah. Also, what else? Lupo, what do you got, man? What are you looking? What are the?
I didn't go with known, sequels. I'm going with. Let's talk about like new shows coming out. So
okay, what do you got?
One of the new ones that I'm really excited about is The Witcher. It's going to be on Netflix.
Ooh, The Witcher.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I mean that I've been waiting for that. That sounds. I mean, I'm a huge computer gamer, and console gamer. So The Witcher's been a really cool game. This should be really good. This has been pretty well anticipated. You got Watchmen also going to be on HBO.
Yes.
They haven't actually released a date yet, but that's we know that's going to happen.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit on Watchmen. As I understand it, this is actually, and they have it. It's not official. It's just one of those things that has been rumored based on the aging of the characters and some of the characters that we're going to get in the Watchmen series. It could actually be considered a continuation of the Watchmen that we from the film, because it's aged the characters up so much.
Yeah, so I'm kind of interested to see how that progresses. And because it's not a movie, we're actually gonna see a lot more detail than we did in the actual film. And then you got Good Omens coming out with Amazon.
Yeah, I was just reading about Good Omens, as a matter of fact. That one actually looks pretty decent too. And I know another one that's coming back this year is American Gods.
Ooh, that was on my list.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
Yeah, we probably, when we were looking through we were binging things last year, I probably passed over American Gods like 400 times. And I would read the synopsis and I would say, yeah, it sounds kind of cool. I'm not sure. We finally put it on, and I couldn't turn it off.
Mm-mm.
I wanted more.
It was too compelling.
It really was. Ian McShane, awesome.
Well, that, to me, he made the show. The show was good. He made it great. He did.
And I love the idea. I love the concept of the show. It's really cool to see the gods of old and the idea of being characters in a modern environment. Mm-hmm. And how did they survive? How did they get by? What are the little cliques and cults that pop up in their name? And I just love the idea.
In years.
Yeah, I love the idea of seeing what if these people were these deities and myths were people, how would they deal with their decline and rise and throughout history? I thought that was just really cool and in a comedic way. It was amazing, and with all the action and blood and gore, and it brought everything.
It was awesome.
There's not anything that it didn't bring, including again Ian McShane's performance, which
spectacular,
absolutely spectacular.
It really was.
So
I'm. Release date on that?
What's that?
Do we have a release date on that?
What do we have here? Let's see. I see American Gods is there.
I was just looking at it.
I don't see a date.
I'd like
a date.
I will give you a date one moment.
Uh-huh.
Maybe I will. Maybe I'm just teasing you.
Well, she's looking for the date on that. Also, I didn't realize this. I thought the season was officially over, but apparently not. We're in mid-season for the new Sabrina. The Dark Adventures of the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina is in mid-season right now. It's actually got the second half of the season coming up sometime in the spring. They're looking at possibly April. That's the Netflix Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which I didn't think I was going to like, and I actually ended up liking it quite a lot. I didn't think I was going to like that. I don't know why. I wasn't a big fan of the sitcom version when my kids were young. I was like, it was all right, but when it hit, when they got dark and comedic at the same time, and it takes place, if I'm not mistaken, in the same universe as the Riverdale.
Yeah.
And
Riverdale
I really enjoyed Riverdale, and they referenced it a couple of times in the Sabrina Netflix show that that Greendale is right around the corner from Riverdale, and they've referenced Greendale a few times in the Riverdale show, even though it's separate networks. And so I'm waiting now, because the big thing now, and in the superhero universe especially, on TV has been these crossover episodes. So now I'm waiting for a Sabrina Riverdale crossover.
There's one coming.
Probably.
And especially in light of the fact that there was a tinge of supernatural hintings in this last season of Riverdale.
Oh yes, with their game.
Their kind of their D&D mock-up game that they did. And so,
well, there's no actual release date for Good Omens. It just says in the early half of 2019.
Okay, what about American Gods?
Oh,
because I didn't have anything on that either.
You didn't have a release date for American Gods?
If I didn't.
That's so sad.
Do you?
Possibly.
Do you? And of course, Game of Thrones in April.
Yes.
And
I renewed my HBO subscription just because of that.
That's right. We do that. That's and our we don't. We'll give
off cancel.
Well, yeah, we'll give a plug to the folks out there. We don't do cable anymore. We recently here at the house went to Hulu Live, which provides local cable access, local news shows, etc., and live television, along with premium services. So we could add HBO or Showtime or whatever to our Hulu account and get those things on demand, which was...
Now the interesting thing is where they charge you for like HBO Now through Hulu compared to like they do on Amazon. Yeah,
I'm not sure the rates. I know that going from satellite service to Hulu literally cut my bill in half with all the same premium services.
Mm-hmm.
So
brilliant.
With all the premium services and everything, I think with DirecTV, and I don't know what their pricing is on a regular basis, but I think we were at almost $150 a month. We went down to $75 with Hulu Live.
And kept everything.
That we had on DirecTV, except for I don't get Chinese news anymore. But that's okay because I really didn't need it.
Well, we still get our premium. We still get our premium channels, including Stars. Speaking of which, because you mentioned a release date for American Gods.
That's right.
And Stars has finally given a release date of March 10th.
To American Gods.
For American
March
Gods
10th.
Season 2. Yep.
Oh, right, yeah. And again, April.
Does anyone there watch DC Universe's Titans?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
So the Doom Patrol is coming out with their own season,
Mm-hmm.
their own show on February 15th.
Is that a live action Doom Patrol?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's those characters.
That show, boom.
Ooh.
Yes.
That'll be cool.
Brendan Fraser is Roboman because we just recently rewatched all the Mummies.
Yeah.
Yep. Got Timothy Dalton making his debut as Dr. Niles.
Wow.
It's going to be fun.
That I didn't know that. I saw the in my DC Universe app. I saw the ad or not the ad, but basically the poster for Doom Patrol, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool because they do a lot of the comic or animated stuff in support of Titans right now.
Yes.
So they have a lot of Robin episodes out. They have the Superboy episodes out, so you could catch up as you get into Titans. But I saw the Doom Patrol. I thought that was another animated, but I didn't realize, wow, that's something really cool to look forward to. That's awesome. We got about a minute here, guys, before we got to go to a commercial break. We'll wrap it up. When we come back, we're going to talk about some more coming up on television and also some comics that are coming out this year.
Yes.
And then we'll get into some of the shows and things that we're going to try to get to this year, where we're going to meet some great indie creators and some of these great creators of these properties that we all love. So stay tuned in and stay logged on, and we'll be right back right after this.
From the imagination of author Kevin J. Kessler, the Rosinanti dragons are no more. They have fallen into the obscurity of lore. Now warrior Valentine Barie and Seraphina, a magically gifted princess, are on a mission to save the world of Terra. Together they must face the Rosinanti legacy and combat the greatest threat their world has ever known. In the end, who is stronger, the man or the dragon? Find out in Kevin J. Kessler's The Rosinanti series on Amazon.com today.
The Hanging with Web Show Radio Hour on Krypton Radio, bringing you the very best in pop culture talk radio. Each Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, the Hanging with Web Show Radio Hour with your hosts G.W. Pomichter and Christian Basil, who are hanging with rising pop culture newcomers as well as superstar icons. The Hanging with Web Show Radio Hour. Tune in Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Who are you hanging with?
Every year, tens of millions of people flock to Florida for its sunny beaches and world-famous tourist attractions. Most never learn about the strange and unusual locations just off the beaten path. From the UFOs of Gulf Breeze to Robert the Haunted Doll in Key West, learn about the myths, monsters, and legends from the dark side of the Sunshine State with author Mark Muncy and illustrator Carrie Schultz in their books Eerie, Florida and Freaky Florida from the History Press. Find them at EerieFlorida.com or wherever books are sold.
Now on Amazon.com. War Calls, Love Cries, a Civil War novel by Mark Barie. Isaac Wells is an innocent farm boy living in upstate New York. His dreams are shattered by a treacherous brother and the onset of a devastating civil war. War Calls and Love Cries is a fast-moving historical narrative. It is an emotional roller coaster ride and a riveting must-read book that you will think about and talk about for a long time to come. War Calls, Love Cries is the kind of book you will cherish for a lifetime. On Amazon.com today.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Hanging with Web Show Radio Hour. I'm G.W. Pomichter.
I'm Sage Ia.
And on the line with us, we've got Robert Lupo from Lupo and Lee and the Orlando Wizard. And we've been talking about the things coming up in 2019 that we're looking forward to the most this year. We talked about some great movies at the top of the hour. We talked about some great television that's coming back and touched on some of those titles that we're looking forward to. And we include in those titles things that are streaming. We just got done talking about Doom Patrol, which is streaming on DC Universe. So there are lots of things out there that to binge, to stream, to watch online. And there's going to be a big year for science fiction, fantasy, if you're into superheroes and comic storylines. This is a big year. We've got a lot of great things coming at you. But you know what? We talked about the huge commercial successes in television and in cinema, but all of this stuff has source material. And so right now we have a list, and I'm not familiar with all of the ones that are coming out, but there are some big things happening in comics, and which is a huge source of material for our television and film. So let's talk a little bit about the comics that are coming out and hear what everybody thinks about those. And then we'll talk about maybe what's in line for those comics. Because as we can see on film and television, a lot of those titles are working their way into from the comic culture into popular culture these days with things like Doom Patrol. And, of course, we just got done with Titans run on DC Universe. And of course,
it's funny that you mentioned that.
Okay.
It's in 2019 is the debut of Wonder Comics, which sheds light on all the DC teen heroes, new ones and existing ones.
Okay, is the debut Wonder Comics? Is that the title of the series?
Wonder Comics.
Okay.
It's a new DC exclusive line, so that's going to be fun. And one of the movies that we didn't talk about that's coming up in 2019, obviously, is Rise of the Phoenix, which is that one's coming up. Follow-up, yep. So the Cyclops and Wolverine's X-Men is also, because it was recently relaunched, and so that's going to be coming up, and that ought to be a lot of fun.
And, you know, that's one of those things that shows a commitment, because Apocalypse did not do well, and this is the follow-up to Sophie Turner's Jean Grey.
You know, it's funny.
Character. And Apocalypse wasn't that bad.
I'm not a big comic person, but the one comic that I actually did read was X-Men in every possible derivative
thereof. Yeah,
I loved the X-Men comics, and it's the only one that I ever really super got into. It was just an excellent, excellent storyline, in my opinion, and there was always more of it.
Mm-hmm. And well, it's great that they're moving forward and they're going to do the Phoenix film. I know Sophie Turner's been on the books for that for a while, and after Apocalypse, you thought maybe they'd take another respite because they did that between was it X-Men 3 and then the next one, because they went X-Men 1 and X-Men 2, and then X-Men 3 was like, oh, it didn't do so well, so we'll wait a couple of years. So yeah, that's what they kind of waited, and then they rebooted.
They screwed up the timeline in my brain.
Yeah, and because they're all supposed to be in the same universe, and they, like you said, the timeline just kind of gets wonky. Mm-hmm. But it's good that they're going to stay right on track with this, because I think this will do really well. People have been waiting for this character for more than a end of the movie climax.
Yes.
For a long, long time. So, Lupo, any comics that were particularly influential to you in as you were growing up or today that you like, and things you'd like to see coming?
So I've got a story, because I used to be an avid comic collector, but my thing was I wanted comics for investments, you know, because I wanted to buy low, sell high, and you know, nifty stuff like that. So I actually had a very, very good friend of mine who was a comic book dealer, and he would buy and sell, and he was amazing and at anticipating comics that would raise in value, and he would just buy those in bulk, and then those of us who worked with him, he would sell those specifically to us. So he would buy all my comics for me. And my favorite story on that is he bought me the platinum edition of The Death of Superman.
Oh, wow.
Those are massively rare. So it was some ridiculous number for every 100,000 Death of Superman's the comic book store sold, something like that. I don't know the exact number. You got a platinum edition. So they weren't common. So you had your standard, then the gold for massive sales, and then it was probably a lot less than 100,000, and then the platinum. Well, not only did he get me a platinum, but the year that came out at Comic-Con, everyone who worked on that comic was there signing comics. And he got my platinum edition signed by everyone who worked on the comic.
Wow.
And then at the end of and that was the only time they were all there to collect, collectively. Later on, I found out that as far as the team knew, there was only 2 platinum editions signed by the whole team in existence.
Wow.
And I have one of them.
Now, as an investment, have you had that valued at all?
No. It's in a comic book frame on my wall.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's good. That is
I
the...
don't know how much it's worth, but it's going to my kids.
That is the episode, if you will, of the comic book that I was an avid comic book reader when I was younger. Now I do like to collect them, and I love to know what's going on in comics, and my son and I talk about different things, storylines all the time. But that was the comic book that came out that I think if I'd have known that all of those creators were in the same room, I would have sent the bomb myself. I remember thinking to myself, do I want to live in a world without Superman? And of course, I didn't realize what they were doing at the time. I was younger, and I didn't realize that what they would do and how they would bring him back and everything. But I remember seeing Superman. It was in the real newspaper, in the actual Superman dead. And I remember looking at that, going, "I what? That can't no." And I'm thinking to myself, I grew up on the Superman stories and comics and the Chris Reeves movies and the George Reeves television show, and I remember thinking to myself, you mean there's going to be a whole generation of kids out there that don't have Superman? And I was like, that sucks. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we found out what they were doing and how they were writing. But I was like, at that time, if I could have got all those writers in the same room, I would have locked the door and sucked the air out.
There is one comic that's coming out that I'm actually kind of excited about.
Oh, let's see if he gets the one that I was going to tell you about.
Yeah.
Was it Doomsday Clock finale?
No.
Ooh,
but I heard about that one too.
Wait. Yeah, Lupo goes first. What is this? What is this you speak of, sir?
So, one of the most anticipated comics this whole year that's coming out is Doomsday Clock. Jeff Jones and Gary Frank have done with, they've actually come up with a sequel to Watchmen that actually honors and even enhances the source material. And no one thought that was possible.
Wow.
So, bearing under any unforeseen delays, it should be out mid-2019. Yeah.
Wow. And that...
It's Doomsday Clock number 12 promises to be one of the most significant releases of the year. And I'm kind of excited about that.
That what's amazing is as you said, if it adds to the Watchmen universe, but it's already a dark universe and a dark look.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And it really a very gritty look at contemporary issues of that era through the lens of comic book heroes. And it'll be interesting to see the comic book industry taking a similarly gritty look at the issues and tone of today through that same lens. It'll be interesting to see that. And
so, being that we were just talking about, I'm kind of wondering if this is going to correspond with the sequel that's coming out.
That wow. See?
Makes sense, right?
Ooh,
that does make sense.
Especially,
this is the sequel.
Yeah, especially they're launching on HBO too, which is, again, they've gotten exceptionally good at what they do.
Yes.
In the last few years. And credit where it's due. Dan and Dave over Game of Thrones have elevated television through HBO to a cinematic level. As have the other networks, at the cable network, Sci-Fi with The Expanse.
Oh yes,
they took that to a cinematic level, and so they with that Watchmen coming, and now we know the comic source material is getting expanded as well. It's a great marketing tool for the series, but it's also people are hungry for content. The series only lasts so long. If they do it once a week. We binge it, we wait 5 weeks and we binge 5 at a time, and then we're done after a handful of shows, and we're hungry. We're hungry for more material, and we I don't know about anybody else. I go to the source material when I run out of episodes. I'm like, hey, let's find that comic. Let's find it online. Let's find it wherever, and get caught up, so that I can feel like I have the inside track on what's coming next, even though I probably don't. It's like Game of Thrones. You and I, when we first started watching Game of Thrones, we went out and let's dive back into that source material again. And then, Dan and Dave went, woo, we'll take a left.
Yes.
And so all the things I thought I knew, I was like, okay, I don't really know those things.
Sometimes you have older shows and you miss them. And
you're like, what are you up to?
And you say, I wish there was some kind of source material or some way that I could revisit those things.
Okay.
So, for all of us who love Buffy.
Okay.
All right. Buffy went over to Boom Studios, and they are going to launch a new comic, and it's a reboot. Instead of starting in the aftermath of the original series, they are now going to reboot the Buffy series in the comics in the present day.
Yeah, didn't they want to do this on television not long ago? Didn't I read something that they were actually considering this on television, and they couldn't get Joss Whedon on board?
Well, they're doing it in the comics.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's...
That is, I hats off. I don't know who knows this or who doesn't know this out there. I read a couple years ago, we talked a little bit about the elevation of television into a cinematic experience. But because it's serialized content, for the most part, a lot of television has been elevated in the minds of academia and other places to the status of literature. So much so, I don't know if anybody out there knows this, but we'll let you know. At Oxford University, a few years ago in the English department, they were doing a television as literature course that centered around Buffy and Angel.
Yes.
As literature on television, the Wheatonverse, as it was in those days, before, Firefly, and then Firefly, of course.
There are Firefly books?
Yes, there are.
It's awesome, isn't it?
Yes, there are.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, I mean, that was always a series that was of interest to me because when I first watched it a couple times, the first couple episodes, the standalone Monster of the Week kind of things were kind of corny and campy, and it was fun. But the more I watched it, and I could see the metaphor, and I could actually see the work that went into it as a piece of literature. When I heard about that at Oxford, I was just like, wow. And these are the people who tell other people how to teach people things. They like make up how people should be educated. And they were doing television as literature, and I thought that was just a fantastic idea. And to start with Joss Whedon, not bad.
I'm telling you what.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
That's pretty awesome. So we have to take another break, guys. This is our last break before we finish up the hour. When we come back, we'll recap some of the things we're looking forward to the most in 2019, and we'll leave you with some final thoughts. And until then, stay tuned in and stay logged on, because we'll be right back.
Best-selling and award-winning author of true crime and crime fiction, Yvonne Mason is back with a brand new book, The Pink Canary, a book that delves into the life of a drag queen and a marvelous whodunit. You can find this and all of Yvonne's other works on Amazon.com, or find Yvonne Mason on Facebook and Twitter.
He's gonna kill me.
Buy your copy of Pink Canary now.
From some of today's best-selling, award-winning authors comes 22 page-turning tales, Cursed Lands.
Cursed Lands will lead you through one doomed world after another in a haunting dystopian urban fantasy.
Join the courageous as they battle for survival across worlds where fae, vampires, angels, witches, and more roam freely.
Cursed Lands is coming soon on Apple Books, Kobo, and Nook.
Pre-order your copy for just 99 cents today.
Murder by the Gods from author William G. Collins is available today. Murder by the Gods is a mystery thriller set in the glorious past of ancient Egypt, when the son of the Scorpion King suddenly collapses after receiving a mysterious threat from the god Seth. The prince is convinced it is the gods who are trying to kill his family. Murder by the Gods is filled with adventure and romance in a kingdom that would become known as the Land of the Pharaohs. Murder by the Gods from author William G. Collins is available on Amazon.com today.
The Rite of Wands. One boy, one rite, and a world of deadly secrets that could change the course of history forever. It's time for The Rite of Wands by Mackenzie Floor. When a horrible fate reveals itself during the Rite of Wands ceremony, Myrda must find a way to change his destiny. Forbidden from revealing the future, he is granted a wand and magical powers in order to save himself and those he loves. But Myrda is not the only one with secrets. The Rite of Wands by Mackenzie Floor, available on Amazon.com now.
Welcome back, World Wide Web. You're listening to the Hangin' with Web Show Radio Hour. I'm GW Pomichter.
I'm Sage Ia.
And on the line with us right now is Robert Lupo from the Orlando Wizard and Lupo and Lee Reviews on YouTube. And we have been talking this whole hour about the upcoming excitement about 2019 and some of the great titles that are coming out in film and television and comics.
And I have books, too.
And while we were off the air, though, real quick, Robert let us know that there's another title coming to Netflix this year. Lupo, want to share with the audience what's coming for them?
Yes, absolutely. Coming out on Netflix, original show is The Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance, and to the true mastery that they did with Frank Oz, it will be done with puppets like they did in the film. So it's extremely anticipated. There's going to be a lot of following on that. And some of the puppets are going to be voiced by an impressive lineup of actors, including Mark Hamill.
Wow.
One of the voices.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
Gelfling.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. Dark Crystal was a fun movie.
I loved that. That was awesome.
So a whole series that'll be kind of cool. And I love the idea of doing it with the puppets, because old school technology in today's film, a lot of times they're like, hey, what, they CGI a lot of things or whatever. But that old technology, when it's viewed through the director's lens with the right eye for the audience, it blends so seamlessly. We're doing so much better than we ever could before.
And think of how far we've come now in puppetry. If you think, even just to our recent Star Wars, and it's just amazing that you sometimes forget their puppets at all.
I was at a convention, and some guy was walking around in a Velociraptor skeleton
That was so
that
cool
was
looking.
just so freaking awesome. I mean, it wasn't like, I know the big, inflatable T-Rexes. No. This guy had like a whole skeletal system of a velociraptor, and it moved, and it was tethered to his jaw, and it opened and closed, and it was incredible. If it had skin on it, you would not have known that it was being puppeted. It was just amazing. So I look forward to that's going to be really cool to see. That'll be a lot of fun show. You said books. You said there are books coming out this year. Of course there are, a million of them.
There are.
However,
I have
what's on the list?
I have a top 4 list.
You have a top 4 list.
Okay.
What do you got?
Yes. Well, we were talking about The Expanse earlier, which obviously is based on the novels of James A. Corey. But the next one in the Expanse series will be released in 2019. And I won't tell anybody. I'll tell you the title. It's Tiamat's Wrath. But I won't tell you anything about it because if you haven't been reading the books, then I don't want to spoil anything for you.
Yeah, and if you've been watching the show, you're probably not there yet.
No, you certainly are not.
You're not there yet because the show just expanded the universe.
Literally
at the end of the last season, they opened up the galaxy for travel. And so you probably aren't there where they are in the books yet. Mm-hmm. So no spoilers on that, but that'll be really good. But they have one. We shared one on our
yes,
page.
It's a novella that he does called The Churn, and it's the backstory for Amos.
He's
my favorite.
Like the character from The Expanse.
Amos.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that's James A. Corey, which is actually 2 writers.
Yes.
It's a writing team. So that's coming this year. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Also coming out this year is the very much anticipated Winds of Winter, which is the 6th book in George R.R. Martin's.
So, there's an asterisk next to that coming out this year, maybe.
Well,
it was supposed to be coming out last year.
Yeah, but he wanted to wait.
Until what?
Until he finished.
Until we all die waiting? Because, I mean, don't get me wrong.
Everybody dies. Yeah. It's George Martin.
Yeah.
We're all going to die.
Yeah.
Watch Red Winning.
Yeah. I saw a great meme not long ago online, and it said George Martin, Joss Whedon, and Stephen Moffat walk into a bar, and everyone you've ever loved dies.
Yeah, I'm out of there.
And I like it because I remember
none of them can come to my wedding.
That was in the
ever.
Any wedding. No,
they can't go to any wedding ever.
Yeah, I'm not going to any wedding I'm invited to with those people are going to be there because bad things are going to happen.
That's it. So there's also one of the fun things for those out there who watch the Outlander series on Starz, which is romantic time travel, which is a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. Diana Gabaldon's Go Tell the Bees That I'm Gone, which is the next book in her Outlander series and probably the last is coming out.
Go Tell the Bees That I'm Gone.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Lupo, any books that you're looking forward to coming down the line?
So I don't read that much in the way of sci-fi fantasy books as much because my real job is I'm a cybersecurity consultant, so I'm reading mostly hacking textbooks. But
hacking textbooks.
How exciting!
Is that like how to hack or how to stop them?
It's like advanced hacking techniques using Kali Linux and stuff like that. That's what I'm reading all the time, and how to scan and destroy rootkits and how to create rootkits and stuff like that.
Lupo's like our ticket into the dark web. Ooh.
You have no idea. we could do a whole show on hackers.
Well, I believe it. I
know the top hackers in the country.
That is good to know.
That is good to know.
Yeah. Or bad to know. It depends.
Yeah, really. As long as you're not over for tea when the FBI shows up, you're good.
So these aren't new books, but some of my absolute favorite books I ever read. With the Myth Adventure series.
Myth Adventure series.
You have never read Myth Adventures?
No.
Oh.
But I think I want to now. I'm looking at his face. Now, the rest of the radio cannot see Lupo's face right now, but I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking to myself, I really need to read these books.
Oh, Robert Aspin is the author of these, and the illustrated by Phil Folio. And I was waiting for a sci-fi convention to start. I was, at NorwestCon several days. I had, so I'm just kicking back at my friend's house, and I was bored, and he pulls a book and throws it at me and goes, "Here, read this." he had a whole bunch of the books in the series. I could not put them down. I think I slept maybe an hour and a half each night. And I pretty much missed the convention because even at the convention, all I was doing is sitting in the lobby reading these books. They are the funniest, most amazing, books I've ever had.
Wow. Oh, right. And the titles again? What is the series?
It's a whole series called Myth Adventures.
Myth Adventures series. Okay.
Like mything persons. Every title has a myth.
Yes.
By Robert Aspin.
By Robert Aspin. We'll check that out ourselves, and hopefully everybody out there on Krypton Radio and iHeartRadio and Radio.com and Spreaker and everywhere else that you can listen to the Hangin' with Web Show Radio Hour, we'll check that out. We're going to wrap it up a little bit, but as we get ready to wrap it up, we want to remind y'all of what's going on for the Hangin' with Web Show crew in 2019. We will start our year traveling about. We're going to head over to Lakeland for Central Florida Comic-Con.
That we are.
That's
the 19th and the 20th.
The 19th and the 20th of January. Mm-hmm. In February, we will be at Sci-Fi Bartow.
Yes.
In Bartow, Florida.
Steampunk
style. It is a comic and sci-fi convention right in the streets. It is several blocks long. It is a street party. It's a great place to hang out. We're going to be on stage 2 all day long. We're going to do interviews for the Hangin' with Web Show interview series. We are going to do a live broadcast of the Hangin' with Web Show Radio Hour. We're going to be joined with our friends over at the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, as well as the Justice Watchtower. Mm-hmm. And we got some special musical guests with the Kitchen Killers who will be down there. We'll be on stage 2 all day long at Sci-Fi Bartow, and that is February...
Oh, Sci-Fi Bartow is February 16th.
February
That's on
16th.
a Saturday. But do you know what else is fun?
What else is fun?
In between...
Yes, we will start
those two
off.
things.
Yes.
We are going to be at the Brevard Renaissance Fair.
That's right, which we will be there on January
26th and 27th.
Yep.
And that's for Fantasy Weekend.
Okay.
And then the following weekend, which is February 2nd and 3rd, for Highlander Weekend.
Absolutely.
Lots of kilts.
Lots of kilts. We'll be at the Brevard Renaissance Fair for those 2 weekends. And then in March, we will be headed to Comic-Con Revolution.
Yes, the very first weekend in March down in
First
Palm
weekend
Beach.
in March,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're going to follow that up with a book convention, correct?
Yes, Beauvais St. Augustine.
Beauvais St. Augustine,
yes.
Where we'll be talking to authors and writers all day long for that. Our big shows this year include, obviously, MegaCon Orlando, which we always look forward to every year. And we are also planning to be at San Diego Comic-Con this year and DragonCon.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a full year for the Hangin' with Web Show crew.
Busy stuff.
We are really, really excited. We hope to catch you all at a show up the road in person, and you can hang out with us and hang out with some fantastic creative artists. We want to thank Robert Lupo for coming on. Robert is the voice behind the Orlando Wizard YouTube channel, as well as a partner in the team, Lupo and Lee. And Lupo and Lee Reviews on YouTube. So check them out. We're going to drop links in the description so you can find Robert Lupo and his podcast and YouTube channels whenever you want to.
And where can they find us?
Where can they find us?
Yeah.
Really? You really want to know?
Uh-huh.
They can find us at www.hanginwithshow.com. And that'll link you to everywhere you need to go for the Hangin' with Web Show. It'll show you some great artists and authors and filmmakers. You can also find us on YouTube. Please go over there and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are nearing 10,000 subscribers who are getting to hear from all kinds of artists, authors, filmmakers, musicians, creative minds of all kinds. Every single weekday at 2 p.m. we drop a new episode of that show every single weekday. So we can also be found on Facebook at Hangin' with Web Show. We can be found on Twitter at Hangin' with Show, on Instagram at Hangin' with Web Show. Mm-hmm. And there are probably a bunch of others that I don't know about because they don't tell me. Because all of those places are enough to distract me enough so that I don't get any work done.
That's true.
It is true.
I'll do all that.
But we are on social media. You can do a simple Google search for the Hangin' with Web Show, and you will find us everywhere we are. We are here every week, Thursday night, 7 p.m. on Krypton Radio, followed up on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Radio.com, and many other podcast networks. So find the Hangin' with Web Show Radio Hour, as well as every Thursday live at 6 p.m., we have the Hangin with Web Show Indie Music Spotlight, where we highlight independent musicians and creative artists and their creations, the music. We play the music for an hour every night, and we have special guests that come out and listen to the music with us so that we're not jamming alone.
That's right. And tomorrow night,
yes,
we have, or not tomorrow night, tonight.
That's right, tonight.
We have Brothers of Alien Rock.
The Brothers of Alien Rock, Mike Fern, will be on the air with us, listening to some great independent music from around the country, around the world, actually.
It's around the galaxy.
Yes, around the galaxy. So we're going to wrap it up now, everybody. We want to remind you all to stay tuned in and stay logged on and see who we're hanging with next.
Shazam!